Hi everyone, I'm Scott Schneider. This is Stereo Niche. Hey, this week I'm going to do another review of a set of separates. Haven't done that in a while. The C4 and M4 from Yamaha. Stick around. All right, so let's take a look at the separates from Yamaha. Now, would you believe that these came out right after this whole silver face era of Yamaha that we're familiar with, the CR 820, 1020, 2020, those beautiful silver face Yamahas that we know so well were eclipsed by the black face with white lettering. Quite a departure. Most of the manufacturers, Pioneer and Sansui, they sort of have a bit of an evolutionary progression in changing their models, but not Yamaha. Yamaha very much said, you know, out with the old, in with the new, and took off with it and released these. These were overlapping the 610, the CA 610, the 810, 1010 integrated amps that were silver face, and went completely black face with these really cool backlit buttons that sort of made them, you know, very distinguishable up on the shelf in the store. But, you know, kind of cool if you had the lights out, you know, you could see these from across the room. But what a difference. And these are not to be confused with, in the collecting hobby, we call a lot of the 80s gear BPC, you know, it's black plastic crap. And there was a lot of it out there, but this precedes when it got to that point. This is not plastic. This is all metal. The front face is metal. The knobs are still, you know, a nice alloy of some sort. Still very heavily built, very well built, and just like their prior, just with a, you know, an anodized aluminum or whatever they used to make them black, but not plastic in the least. So not to be confused with what was very common in the late 80s. There were several sort of siblings along. Now this is the C4 and M4. This C4 retailed for around $550, and the amplifier was $650. Now the C2 and M2 were a step up and considerably more. I think the preamp was like $1,100, and the amplifier I think was about $1,300. So almost twice as much, you know, as this. Was it that much better? I don't know. I don't have those units, but I can tell you that right now this thing has just about everything in it that could have been, that was mostly available as far as a spec and a functionality of that era. It even includes some things that are very uncommon. There's the stereo reverse switch. You can swap your left and right channels if you so choose. Has the ability to run two different amps as well. You can, you know, throw another amp in here and use both of those, you know, in combination with the preamp. And then lots of other features that I'll go through when I do my review. But what an incredible preamp. The one thing that if you're a vinyl aficionado and collector and love your turntables, it will accommodate 3 turntables, which off the top of my head, I can't recall ever seeing another unit that can accommodate 3 turntables. So, and that includes using one of them as with an MC cartridge. So just an incredible engineering effort put into this preamp and amp combo. So I'll give you some up close. It's gorgeous. I picked up this set from the original owner not too long ago, very recently, and was very glad to have it. It was a situation where they just wanted to make sure it went, you know, to somebody that was going to take care of it, which I certainly will. And I was just ecstatic to get it. This was the first set I've had of this particular series, so was very, very, very happy to get a hold of it. So let's go take a look at how good it looks up close, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my review. All right, I told you, pretty cool looking units, right? Just very sleek, and everything has a purpose, and very well laid out. So let's talk about the review here and what the ratings are. Just want to re-emphasize again. So these came out around 79. I think they went through around 81. Preamp was $550 MSRP. Amplifier was $650. The amplifier has 120 watts, so gets 20 points for that. Does have a 4 ohm spec, which most of the time separates do. So just for that reason, it does get an additional 30 points. Moving on into those phonos I mentioned, 3 phonos, amazing, 3 phonos. So it gets 30 points for that alone. But on top of that, gets an additional 20 points because it can accommodate an MC cartridge. And not just that, but you can fine tune your settings here for your specific cartridge. There's a lot of settings that you can accommodate and really sort of tune in your cartridge. So not just a matter of handling MC, but also being able to sort of fine tune it. So it gets another 20 points for that. Moving on into inputs. 4 more inputs. You've got 2 tape, an auxiliary, and a tuner, and you can add all kind of stuff to this if you like, and accommodate pretty much just about anything. So 4 more inputs on top of the phonos. Has balance, has volume muting, which is like a cool switch here just for volume muting. Moving on into tone controls, has tone defeat as well. This is the audio muting. This is the tone defeat. I got it back there backwards. So 10 points for the tone on off, and has bass and treble as well. So 5 points each. Very nice high-low filters, which is great if you're going to do some recording. So it's got both of those for high and low. So 10 points for that. Power meters, doesn't have the old analog, but it does have power meters. So gets an additional 20 points. And although the rating is typically for receivers, but because I'm incorporating these into the receiver review, it does have pre-out separation, of course, because they're separates, but I still need to give them the points for that. So that's 20 points. Moving on into AC connections, has 2 switched and 1 unswitched. Sometimes it's the other way around, but so it gets 20 points and 5 points respectively. And then number of speaker sets can accommodate 2 sets of speakers, so gets 20 points for that. Now all tallied up, I told you earlier that it's the highest points that I've rated so far as far as a combo here, and it gets 270 points. And that's a good bit higher than anything I've rated so far. And it happens to be the last thing I rated that scored the highest was actually a Yamaha. It was the Yamaha receiver. And these have eclipsed them all now. It's just loaded with features. And you know, if you're going to get a vintage set and you'd like it to accommodate a lot of control, and especially if you're going to use vinyl, then what a powerhouse. Really, I don't know that there's too many other amps, preamps, combos that I could say could give you just about everything you wanted. Now, is it, you know, going to be the best sounding, the purest sounding? You know, some folks are more in tune with less circuitry and, you know, straight get the signal out to the speakers as quickly as possible and not go through all the circuitry perhaps. But if you want to accommodate your gear and multiple configurations of turntables, you know, I just don't see how you could fault this setup here. So that's kind of it. It was a pretty straightforward review today. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and let me know what units you've got. I know there's lots of folks with C2s out there and M2s and some other similar you know, siblings of this line. So let me know what your guys' experiences are. If you like this video and don't want to miss the next one, hit subscribe, and thank you always for tuning in.